man, how do you like make your podcast look so good? I just record this thing and send it to the ether to these gentlemen, and then the cool stuff comes from there.
The trust factor that YouTube brings, that you have this catalog of hours and hours of content on you for people to know you.
Somebody wants to start a podcast. I kind of want to hear your take of what you think of like what our idea was and like where it is now.
You don't need a full studio cameras. I mean, look at you guys. You guys are recording with an iPhone. Is it 13, 14?
Yeah, 13.
13. Yeah.
13.
And we started realizing that, as you bring on guests, you're also bringing on that guest's expertise and that guest's audience.
Have goals. What are you going to provide? Because it's all about like, what am I going to provide for the viewer?
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Next Gen Strategies podcast. My name's Grant Cavald. As always, joining me today is Tyler Davis, and we have a heck of a unique podcast coming up today. An awesome guest with us. We've had a lot of people kind of asking, what made you guys start a podcast, and what did you even do to get started? And so we thought it would be good for some of these folks that have been reaching out to say, you know what, rather than us try to explain what the heck that we're doing as if we did anything, we figured we would bring on our expert who's been helping us, him and his brother. So Cam, welcome to the show. Super excited to have you, and looking forward to kind of picking your brain for these small businesses who are looking to know, how do we get into podcasting?
Absolutely. Grant, Tyler, it's a pleasure to be here. Super pumped to dive into everything podcasting.
Absolutely. And, it's kind of a unique story of how we even found Cam and his brother. But before we get in that, Cam, why don't you talk a little bit about, who you are, what you do, VisiScale, the whole 9 yards. We'd love to hear a little bit of your story, and then we'll dive into some more specifics.
If I were to go all the way back, I mean, that would take 3 whole podcasts of all my failures and business explorations and on trying new things. But what I do now is our business is called VisiScale. And so essentially we are a digital marketing agency that helps primarily service-based businesses. That's kind of just where we migrated more towards in terms of businesses. It just felt like more comfortable servicing that type. For what we got going on right now, I kind of view it as like 2 sides. And so it's the side that I run and then the side that my brother runs. And it's probably better that way. So we can avoid a lots of the clashing that we get into. And so in terms of what I do, it's like the general overview is just social media marketing. And so with a specialize in YouTube. And it's basically like I provide full post-production services for business owners like yourselves when it comes to podcasting or just being a YouTube creator. And I also do like content strategy, competitor analysis, stuff like that. But like the overview of what I do is just like a hands-off solution when it comes to post-production. For Jack's side of the business, this is still very new, and like we're still very new into this business as a whole. But what he does is like what he's trying to carve into is like website development. I'm not very plugged in onto the stuff that he does, but that is something we're like trying to build out and that he's learning at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's funny when you said all the people asking like, man, how do you like make your podcast look so good? Like they're asking me because we're known, if you guys don't know yet, I'm the tech guy for the podcast. For some reason. I just got named tech guy. And I'm like, I'm not going to take credit because I sure as heck am not editing these things to that level. I have no clue what I'm doing. I just record this thing and send it to the ether to these gentlemen. And then the cool stuff comes from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of the same thing. They look at me, they're, oh, well, the marketing guy, like, oh, Grant, you do a heck of a job like editing and figuring all this stuff out, and like, oh yeah, logo looks cool, and you got these transitions, these shorts. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I'm not doing
it's super complex if you like don't know much about it. It's like, whoa, like how do you even do this? This is rocket science.
I remember the first time I tried to use Premiere Pro. I bought this I was like, oh, I need to have a good laptop, and I got this like laptop of Newegg, and I could barely run it. Like it was dying. And then I just pulled up, and I'm like, I spent like an hour just trying to like edit a clip, like to just like make it shorter. Like I had no clue. I'm like, oh my gosh. So when we started this, I'm like, I'm not touching anything with video because it will take me 10 times longer to even get close and it will look like crap.
100%. 100%. I think, one of the things that we want to share a little bit today was just a little bit of the kind of story of why we started this podcast, kind of what our journey was into it. Again, even though I'm a marketing person, I'm not by any means like a podcast expert. And so we needed a lot of help along the way. And so, I think Ty and I just want to touch a little bit on like where we started, kind of where we even ended up, meeting Cam and Jack and then kind of talking through, for those folks that are, trying to think about like, how do we get more into like that video audio space and, how do we capitalize on things like podcasts, YouTube, where do we even start? Like, how do we do that? And I think, Cam's going to be able to help tell that story a little bit today. So, I can, do you want me to give a little bit of a kickoff for where we started or,
Yeah, I think you should like go back because I think it's a funny story because
it all starts on Upwork.
Yeah. 100%. But I'm sure over a few beverages, like we were like, dude, let's start a podcast.
I would actually love to know how it really started for you guys and what made you get on Upwork and the whole story.
You really remember? I just remember us having these types of like conversations we're having on the podcast. We were just having.
Well, yeah. The kind of long story short of it was like, I had my business, right? And, we were looking for opportunities to talk more about, I was looking for opportunities to talk more about like marketing and stuff. And obviously being a fractional CMO, you had, your business where you're doing more of the, fractional CFO work and accounting stuff. And we're like, well, we're talking to the same audiences and like, how do we kind of combine forces here to talk a little bit about something? What are those, business owners, what are some of the common problems that they may be having and they're looking to scale? And so, long story short, we're like, well, why don't we just start talking about, how you can scale your business and what are all the different things that go into that? Well, we're like, okay, well, let's do it. Maybe we had a couple of beverages one night. We said, dude, we should just do a podcast and like in the words of Ty, we should just rip it. Like, let's just rip a podcast. And so, the marketing in me is like, whoa, okay. So like, I got to go like find all the, like, got to find these giant agencies. And I'm looking at people in LA and all these other things. I'm like, this isn't going to be good enough for us because we can't afford these ginormous agencies that are doing mass productions for people. And so I'm like, you know what? I've had a little bit of luck every once in a while with like going online and finding like a freelancer or Upwork. And so, I literally get online and I make this post. I'm like, hey, we're two idiots who are looking to start a podcast. And Cam, you were one of the first ones to help us out. Maybe you can see, you were inspired.
Well, I remember
when you saw
because even now Upwork is still like, it's where I get most of my clients when I am searching. And so I remember it was like, Jack and I, we were still like, we're still so new with this, but we were really on the start. And this was like around, I think it was last spring.
Yeah. That's about right.
Yeah. That we get this rolling. And I remember Jack, he comes to me, he's like, yo, I found this Upwork job post. Like, I think it'd be really good. And so they're looking for someone to teach them how to like podcast and teach them how to edit and like teach them everything. And then you guys would go on your own. I don't know if you remember that, but that's what
that's
like
true.
Jack
I
told
forgot
me.
about
And
that.
he said that.
That's right.
He like pitched you guys and was like, we'll teach you how to do everything. And then if you want to go on your own and handle fulfillment on your own, like absolutely. If not, like we can help, we can provide that service for you. And I just remember like he was all amped up on this and I was like, let's go. Let's see what happens here. And then it all just came into fruition and now we're here with you guys.
I just remember the message, like you guys just like gave us so much value just in like that intro, like offer, like say, hey, we want this job. You're like, this is everything you need. But you wrote a book and I remember Grant bringing it to me. I'm like, oh my gosh. He goes, yeah, we got to call these guys.
Yeah, it was the amount of detail you put into this and like for free, like before we're even like just in the proposal of like, this is what we would do. I did. And having
shout out Jack.
Big shout out to Jack. But having, be on the marketing side, like having vetted so many agencies and freelancers stuff, I'm like, oh, as soon as I read, I'm like, we're moving over these guys.
They sent us Amazon links on what to buy.
Correct. So maybe you want to kind of walk by. Like, when we say we didn't have anything set up, like we had kind of a vision, we had a name, And that was about it. So I don't know, we kind of talk through that.
I just remember, not knowing what we needed. And I totally forgot that we were talking about we would run it on our own.
Yeah, I did. Until you just said that, I totally can't believe we ever considered that.
That's a stupid idea. Yeah. But I remember you sending me the links and we're like, starting our because we spun up a new entity for it and everything. And you guys just dropped us like, you need this, you need this, you need that. And I'm like, hey, I was on YouTube looking up 3-point lighting. Do I have any clue what I'm doing? And like you were on like a FaceTime with us or something. It was either you or Jack saying like, oh, that looks all right. Yeah. You stepped us through it and did like the logo for it and like just like kind of a little mini marketing plan for it and everything. Yeah. And then we were off to the races. Yeah. And it was originally going to be at your guys' office space.
Correct. Yeah.
And then that didn't pan out. And then Tyler's got this money set up in the basement here. I mean, little do people know there's a golf simulator right across from them.
And there's a children's play set like right over here, like this huge area where my kid goes crazy. It's funny.
Tyler's basement, he has it all in the basement.
But I think that I want to kind of start with let's start with kind of the first thing that maybe we did and maybe we went a little bit out of order. And Cam, I'd love for you to kind of chime in here too. But I think the first thing that we thought about was, when we had like next gen strategies, like we were pretty sure like that was going to be the name of the podcast because it's like the things we wanted to talk about. We didn't want to just have like the mundane kind of regular like marketing tips and tricks and CPA stuff. And we want to talk to like the next gen of like, what's the cool, innovative stuff that's happening? What are the things that people are doing to like really elevate their businesses and these businesses that are looking to scale? And we just kept getting stuck on the scaling piece of it. And so I think that, when we got talking about this, like what would be our episodes, how we start to move into things. And by no means have we figured this thing out yet. Like we're still trying to make this happen. We're like, well, let's just keep it all around scale, how, and I think that the first thing we said was that's our message at the end of the day. And, it's about scaling and it's about that target audience of either the folks who are, kind of going to that next level of business or the really established businesses who are even trying to get even, more transition and even higher up.
Yeah. And I guess, Cam, what do you think in terms of, okay, somebody wants to start a podcast, like, they got to have some type of flavor, right? Like there's got to be something that is different or new or their personality or something. So like, I guess I kind of want to hear your take of like what you think of like what our idea was and like where it is now and how it stands up against the million other podcasts out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first addressing what you guys got going on, I think what made you guys unique because I think you guys do fall into like the niche of just business and just like business advice and value.
Yeah.
But where I think you guys have that unique standpoint is Grant, you being like marketing and then Tyler being the finance. And so it's like just these two entities come together and just like, it's perfect. Like that kind of is what business is as a whole. You got the finance, you got the marketing come together. And so I think having both perspectives makes you guys really unique. And I think it provides a lot of value for the audience. And even when I'm listening, I'm like, I'm getting value. I'm like that process episode. I was like, God, like I gotta start filming. I gotta start filming my processes after your episode. And so I set my whole mic up, got the webcam going, and I started filming like everything I was doing. And so just kind of want to know on that, like what you guys got going on. Yeah. I think is very unique. But when it comes to just like general like podcasting and strategy and stuff like that, I did write down a couple notes that I could just kind of go through.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
And, I'll end with the strategy portion, but like when it comes to like gear, I think it'd be a great point to start there. And I also want to know, I'd be happy to like create a document that we could link in the show notes, kind of what I did for you guys, just for the viewers.
Oh, yeah.
List out some like budget friendly stuff, different price ranges on, mics, mixer, camera, lighting, things like that. And so first, what I'd want to say is you don't need a full studio cameras. I mean, look at you guys. You guys are recording with an iPhone. Is it 13, 14?
Yeah, 13.
13? Yeah.
13.
iPhone 13. You get the mics going. Like you don't need this whole production setup. Like you were looking out in LA.
Yep. Which was for me where I was like, dude, this is going to like cost a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So you do not need that. You can start with your phone and a lavalier mic. Like you can just get started. That's like the most important piece there. And then the second thing I would say to piggyback off that is prioritizing good audio, because bad video is manageable with good audio. But if the audio is bad, it's like you don't even want to listen to it. If so, like having good audio is where I would start. And then as you progress and become more consistent, adding in the better video. And obviously when it comes to like the setup, it goes mics. You want your mics. Shure has this one I have here. They have really good mics, or Rode, and there's a couple other brands. And then your mixer is another thing if we're going to get like super technical here. And so like what you guys have right here is the Zoom PodTrack
Zoom
P4.
Yeah.
This thing is great starter mixer. It's like $150 on Amazon. And then cameras, obviously you guys have like the iPhone 13. You can use a phone. If I would say like anything like iPhone 13, honestly, and up. I mean, I don't know much about like the Android side of stuff.
Right.
I'm a diehard iPhone user. And so if you have a good phone, you can easily use that. And then as you go, you can upgrade it into like a Sony, Canon. There's a lot of options with that. And then finally, I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but like just lighting. Good lighting does go a long way. And it's like you guys got the backlights behind you. And then you can also go on Amazon and just buy like a starter kit on lighting. They have a lot of options there.
That's what we did. Because we just have these two, I don't know what you want to call them, but they have like the nice white covers on them, you know, and it's just two big light bulbs. And like we're in a basement. The lighting down here is horrible, but this lighting actually is decent.
Yeah. You guys did a really great job with the lighting. And so like you said, Amazon, they have great cheap sets that will do the job. And now getting to that other portion, I guess the really important part of podcasting, which is like your strategy. Know your niche and like what value you bring. And so like that is what I've seen in working with clients over the course of this time, is just like, what is your niche and what value do you provide? What are you talking about and who is your target audience? And creating a blueprint. It's almost just like when you start a podcast, it's almost like it's like a business plan. It's your podcast blueprint. And so you want to set clear goals. And is it growth, authority, community, or like lead generation? Or is it bad goals? Is it to get famous like Joe Rogan and have this huge subscriber list? Like you're not going to get far. And so really coming up with a clear vision, clear goals on like, who are we trying to target? What value can we bring immediately? And what are we going to talk about? Like, what is our ethos? Like, what do we bring to the table? And then longevity matters the most, and just being consistent and just putting in the reps and getting episodes out. And there's a big stat that floats on a lot of YouTube shorts. It's that 90% of podcasters don't make it past episode 3. And then for those that do make it past episode 3, 90% of those won't make it past episode 20. And so that just shows you like a lot of people try this and they'll just fade out. And it's the ones that stay consistent, have those clear visions, have those clear goals, they'll make it out on top.
For sure. And one other thing that I'm going to add into just the prep and the strategy that you're kind of talking about, Cam, is, find somebody who's not me and not Ty, who's got an eye for like a design and setup, like Ty's wife, who frankly, we kind of described to her what we want to do and all these things. And this is what we want to talk about. This is our goal. And like, we're going to do this. And she goes, oh yeah, I'll buy this fireplace and this, even this backdrop.
Yeah, I love the back wall.
I mean, this is what? Is this an Amazon purchase?
Oh,
Menards
those
purchase?
are like sticky. You buy them on Amazon, they're cheap.
I mean, it's same with the lights. Like these things are just
those are wireless. You just hang them. Like they're not even plugged into anything.
Yeah.
So
Amazon.
Half the time we don't even remember to turn them on.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. And they got the little tree in the background next to Tyler. Yeah. You got the chairs. Like it's super easy. Like look, you guys just did it. You guys
I think we probably
hard.
had maybe $500 in getting it all together, and it was nothing crazy. But what's interesting, Cam, is like you're thinking about or talking about like the strategy of the pod, and then what was also interesting was hearing from you, and then for me hearing from Grant, because like Grant comes at it from this other angle of, my idea going into this was, well, I can spend some money on this because like this is kind of a marketing budget for me. Yeah, and Grant's like, hey, we have content that we're consistently producing, and that content can be cut, created in like 8 different ways. It could be turned into a blog, it could be a short, it could be the long form. And then I found myself sending the links to the podcast to people that are a part of my business or prospective parts of my business, and saying, hey, check me out. Like this is the easy way for you to get to know me like that, So there's like so many, like, I don't know. There's just so many opportunities with just sitting down in front of the camera and just doing content.
Yeah, it's endless. And that rant I just had was more so like on like the getting started and
right.
gear and all that stuff. But like you just said, Tyler, like for business owners, it can be so valuable, and it's just like, it's evergreen. And I forget what episode it was. And that Tyler, you were talking, and it actually really opened my eyes, because I like, for some reason, didn't even like realize this, but I remember you were saying how you now have used the podcast when like a new client comes in, you're like, check out my podcast. You have hours of content to see who I am, what I know, build trust. And like, that's what YouTube does. And I think people misunderstand that and think it's like for something else. But like the trust factor that YouTube brings, that you have this catalog of hours and hours of content on you for people to know you. And a great example I use is, this isn't like a service thing. It's more of a product, and I send this to you guys, that YouTube creator that I watched, Justin Moore. He helps creators get monetized on YouTube and does like brand deals and all that. I found him and I watched like probably 5 videos, and I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's a thought leader, all those good things. And I immediately went and bought his book. And so like, that is just like the power of what YouTube and like creating this digital presence community can do.
And what I've noticed too is it's like, I'm sure some people are thinking, a podcast, you need to have, like 100,000 subscribers and blah, blah, blah. Like a couple hundred could make or change like a huge presence in your business. Like the size of the audience, especially when you niche down, doesn't really matter all that much.
Yeah, I think what I always tell about, whether it's podcasting, YouTube, social media, it's not website traffic, emails, blah, blah, blah. It's not always about the pure number of impressions as much as it is the right impressions and are you getting engagement from those impressions? It's one thing to show up in front of people. It's another one for them to actually view and watch, because that's when you know whether or not you're actually resonating with folks. And Cam, I'm sure from your perspective, on the promotion end of it, right? There's definitely a science behind kind of what you guys are doing there too, as well, to maximize exposure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what's interesting too with like the power of AI, like I know a gentleman that runs around in the CFO circles, and he has like a group that subscribes to him and is in a membership with him just to get advice and stuff. Mm-hmm. He's like, I think he had like 200 YouTube videos. He had AI scrape the whole thing, and he made a chatbot out of it. So now like any question you could think of, because he's like, I've done so much content, like I've given out so much advice. So now he has a custom chatbot to where you can be like, I'm trying to think about how I should execute a sales call in this like scenario. And he goes, the chatbot will say, hey, here's what we know about it. Here's where the video is. Go find it. So he's built, like you said, this evergreen content that like he can repurpose in a different way. And it's all out there, because I think the problem I was running into is I just kept having thoughts in my head. Oh, I should like create content about that or write that down. And then you don't. So then me and you sitting down every 2 weeks and just, ripping a podcast, is the outlet that we get to actually get the stuff out of our brains, and it's recorded, it can be transcribed, and it's out there now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, I want to talk a little bit about some other strategy that we've done with this podcast that, whether it was intentional or not, to where we're seeing some residual results. And I shouldn't say this podcast, so I'm going to put my marketing hat on, but for folks that I know who are doing who I work with, who do podcasts or who are doing video and stuff, talking to these groups of people doing creative stuff, it's like, if you start to like develop some of that foundation of like who you are, what you do, why you do it, like that kind of story starts to come out at the beginning of your podcast. But then if you're somebody who's wanting to bring on guests, or you're somebody who is looking to, have more of that interview style stuff, right? So like we started off, it was more just me and him. But then we're like, well, you know what? People are going to get real tired of hearing from just us after a certain amount of time, and so we like, well, let's get some engaging guests that hit on subject matter expertise. And so we started to do that a little bit, and we started realizing that, as you bring on guests, you're also bringing on that guest's expertise and that guest's audience. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to, you might hear the term a lot, organic growth. Well, if you're bringing on a guest and give that guest the opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about, what they do and bring some value to your listeners, and you don't just let that video sit or podcast sit there on the streaming platform. If you're resharing those things on LinkedIn, resharing those things on Facebook, Ty's got me on TikTok finally, that just, I never thought I'd be there. your reach will expand dramatically by retagging those folks, tagging those folks' business. They're resharing your stuff. And so it becomes a really good tool just for, expanding audiences, expanding opportunities. And, Cam, I'm sure you've probably seen that on your side. Obviously we're just one of many that you guys work with, where that promotional strategy is so key in the success of not just recording and setting it on a shelf or setting it, per se, but you got to kind of keep watering that seed as you go.
But you told me earlier, like a couple months ago, Grant, about how like you doing this podcast, that old agency you worked for was like, whoa, like we like your podcast, like what you got going on there.
Yeah.
And you just have eyeballs on you now. And it's just so powerful. I can't say it enough. Another client of mine that I like to use as an example is he had a restoration business in Nashville. And so he built this business up to about like $2 million a year, had a whole team. And then he sold it and started coaching restoration contractors on how to do restoration, all the pieces of it, scaling it. And so he went on to YouTube, created this YouTube channel of just providing free advice. And it's him, and he has one employee, and he does around $2 million a year just off of that. And YouTube is his like main source of marketing. And it's just every Friday he gets in front of the camera and just talks for 30 minutes on just all the knowledge he has when it comes to restoration, and just gives it out for free.
Which is crazy because like you could think about that for like a restoration company, if you're a plumbing company, HVAC company, like I feel like this is really the way
the world's so connected.
The way that it's starting to go. And I think I've mentioned this stat before, but like, I want to say things have shifted to where when buyers, whether it's a consumer reaching out to a business or a business reaching out to another business for services, before they submit a form or before they pick up the phone, 80% of that buyer's journey, they expect to be done before they actually reach out to you. It used to be like 40 to 50%. Now it's like 80 plus. So like consumers want to be knowledgeable when they reach out to somebody. They want to feel super comfortable. They're going to do their research ahead of time. Like they don't want to spend all this time talking to a salesperson and have you led through. No, they want instantaneous. I know, I trust, I understand. I felt ready to, and sometimes feel qualified to speak to somebody about something that they maybe don't know a whole lot about. And I think that's probably where you're seeing that restoration gentleman might be having some success there too.
And it's just like, again, like that people just build trust. There's just so much content of him out there for you to watch. I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about. I have a restoration business. It's not doing what I want it to be. I'm going to sign on with him for coaching. And it's just such a powerful part of your business is marketing.
Cam, let's flip the script a little bit, right? So we've talked about the things that we've done and the things that we've done maybe we felt like they were done well, or we maybe did them right because we had, your expertise. But we definitely have hit our head along the way plenty of different times. And so I want to share a couple of different things that we've done that we have messed up that we would love to give some unsolicited advice for users who maybe are getting ready to do this or they just started. And
how much time do we have?
I don't know. Let's see. remember your lights are on. No. I'll give two quick examples and hopefully I don't steal anything from you, Ty.
No,
but one of the first things was on the audio quality side of things that Cam had noted before. Like, we've had times where we went to record and we just didn't record. Or we thought something was turned on or things that you don't realize are making noise in the background. And so be really mindful of that. I think is a big deal, and be mindful of don't just sit down and start talking. We thought we could do that because Ty and I are pretty, we're pretty good off the cuff in a lot of situations. But when you're on camera and you're live and you watch it back, you realize real fast, like you better have a little bit of structure and a little bit of thought to kind of what you're doing. And so I think that, we heard this when we first started that this would happen. And I was like, we'll see. But if you look back on the first episode or two versus like where we are now, like it's just night and day in terms of the flow and the confidence and all the other things that come with that. But where else have we messed up?
Yeah. I mean, just hearing yourself speak is strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
right.
And that's the thing that I remember when we first sat down and do it, it was like, it felt like I was on TV. You know what I mean? Because I can hear myself through the headphones. We're talking. I can hear my lips smacking. It's strange. But it's like anything else. You get some reps behind you and it's nothing anymore. You know, we were very nervous the first time we did a guest, and we never actually aired the episode we did first guest with.
Shout out Aaron.
Yeah.
Someday.
Sorry, Aaron. But we lost the audio. There was something to do with the device where I overwrit the audio file, and I only had like half of it. And when it's just me and him, we did it to each other before, and we could just sit down and reshoot. But when you have a guest, you know, that's really kind of embarrassing, you know?
Yeah.
So there's some things now that we've thought of about like a second, like when the last guest we had a second mic source, just in case we lost it. At least we have something, you know, we've lost video before. So because my memory got full on my phone and it cut off. So now we'll deploy 2 video sources. You know, there's little things you can do that didn't cost us a bunch of money, but it was just trying to put some forethought into the nightmares that we had before.
What other nightmares have we maybe gave you as an editor, Cam?
Yeah.
Or, you know, not to put you on the spot, but you know, what other nightmares have you seen either on the editing side, or I should say pre-production, production, or like post-production? Like, where do you see some opportunities or some things you're like, oh gosh, I hope don't ever do this?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like mistakes, I think you guys got most of kind of like when you get started with a podcast, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna have issues with your audio, camera. There's a lot of things you're gonna have to iron out, and you will. It's just don't quit and just keep going. And another thing is having that team that helps you with like the post production can go a long way. Like when you guys didn't have the audio cut 3 minutes into the episode, Grant had that great idea of like, let's have the fruit baskets pop up and we can make it work. And like with the skills that like I had, we salvaged the episode and we made it through. And so having a team, or even if it's yourself, that's like, I'm starting on my own in the post-production, just building the skills around just kind of video editing in general can really help you smooth out those kinks and fix mistakes. But yeah, when it comes to like just like the mistakes that I've seen, it's like definitely with the audio, like a lot of movement, like because sometimes when you're like moving in your mic and your wire, it can be really hard to fix in the post production. Again, like our AI is getting really good in terms of like audio cleaning. A lot of times video does cut off, like your camera could get overheated. Things of that nature. But I think mainly you guys got the most of them in terms of mistakes. But like you guys were saying, it's all minor things. It wasn't like just these things that just like podcast is done. It's just these small tweaks that over time you'll get better at. And to piggyback off what you said, Grant, I think a lot of it's about just comfortability. Like obviously, like this is kind of just like a video call and we're talking back and forth. But when it's you guys just looking at the camera, it is awkward. It's nerve-wracking. I mean, even on this, I haven't hopped on a podcast in a long time, and my hands are a little clammy, like I was sweating a little bit because it's not normal, it's not natural. And to not ramble too long, when I kind of what started me on this journey of like where I am today with like VisiScale and my brother is we had our own podcast. Right out of high school, I moved to Nantucket and we had a podcast on the beach. And it was just me and my brother just yapping back and forth at the camera. But I remember like starting that being like, I am so nervous right now. Like, and you're just like, you're stuttering, all these things. And so it's not normal. It's not natural, but with time you get more comfortable.
I think a piece of advice I would give too is that having a partner to do a podcast with is kind of nice, because I think what has made some of our episodes good is that we get into a natural flow state as friends, as people who've talked about this stuff all the time. So like we just kind of like tune out what's in front of us and just have a conversation. And I can't imagine how hard this would be if I was just me here doing this by myself. I would feel so weird and awkward. So having you here has made it so much easier.
Yeah. And shout out to the people who are doing it by themselves, because I know there's a lot out there like that. That's an incredible skill to be able to do that. Like that is tough. Like I know a couple of people are doing it right now. I'm like, wow, that's pretty incredible.
Insane skill. It's crazy. It's so hard.
Yeah, and shout out to you guys because I can't remember the specifics of it, but I know there were several episodes that you guys kind of saved where like we lost video somewhere in it, and then like you used some tools to help like save it, and like you could not tell in post like after it was done that you guys just kind of like saved the day, and that was funny. That was the nice part about having you on our team is that like we'd have something mess up and we could be like, all right, we'll just send it to the guys, see what they can do. And then like we get it out of post. We're like, oh, there's nothing. It's great. Like, it's fine. Like the fruit basket one, I thought was hilarious. Just throw the fruit basket up on the screen after the video cut out.
Out of all the episodes to lose video, like there is quite literally a piece of that fruit basket episode where there is a fly that comes like right here, and Ty is going on a tangent about something, and I'm like pulling away from the mic. I'm flinging this fly around, and unfortunately, it never made it out. But that would have been a heck of a short. So, well, Cam, I think we've kind of touched on the story and then some best practices, some do's and don'ts. Anything else that, as we talk about, starting a podcast or what you see people do, like anything else from your perspective, that you would maybe recommend or add on to maybe anything else that we were saying today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we definitely cover the main pieces here. And I don't want to repeat myself, but just like to recap, it's going to be awkward in the beginning. You will find your way. You will learn. Like you'll get an understanding of the equipment. It's just like riding a bike. And so just put in the reps, be consistent, and just have a plan. Have things written out, have goals. What are you going to provide? Because it's all about like, what am I going to provide for the viewer? That's what matters most. And I've worked with a lot of podcasters and I've seen many drop out, many fail. And the ones that fail are the ones that didn't have a plan. They want to be famous. They want to be the next Joe Rogan. And it's not going to work. You have that plan, have clear goals, and stay consistent, and you will find your way.
Do you have any comments or thoughts about like what people should expect for realistic growth? Because I assume a lot of people, especially the ones like you even probably have them as clients who think that like, oh, I'm going to do all this I'm going to shoot 20 episodes and I should have 10,000 subscribers. And it's just not really how that works.
It's a slow burn.
Yeah. So you probably know a lot more than I do.
If I just like put out 5 episodes, like I should be sponsored by then, right? And it's just like, dude, it doesn't work like that. It is a long game, especially if you're starting from like nothing. It's a long game. And that's why people don't understand, because they see like some famous person start a podcast and it blows up. It's like, yeah, that's because they're famous. They don't need like all the other things. It's just themselves are going to generate views and growth. And so when it's like, if you're starting out, it's like, be in it for the long haul. And I mean, like, be comfortable with getting 4 views on every episode for who knows how long.
Shout out to the grandmas watching the videos.
Keep trying new things and just be consistent and have fun with it. And like over time, you will see the growth. And it's like a teeter-totter. I don't know if that's like the analogy I'm trying to use here, but like a lot of it comes on you guys and then me as well. Like it's a two-man team here on you guys creating the content, you guys filming it, being consistent, and then me using my service to put it out, help you guys stay consistent, like with the editing. And so having the consistency, and either like you're filming by yourself or with someone else, and then having that team, if you can find a team that can help you, it's going to help you stay consistent.
Yeah, for sure. And I will emphasize that again from a marketing standpoint, right? Like this is a very specific type of marketing, I guess, marketing communications tactic. And even if you are, pretty good, you think you might be pretty good with YouTube, or you're half decent with maybe some like video production, the media production of this, the pre-strategy, the production stuff that happens, the understanding of the lighting and the audio, and just how to transfer something from an SD card or move it to a computer. I mean, there's a whole nother kind of world back here. And then obviously the post in terms of the editing and putting it together and ensuring, there's potentially shorts to share, there's thumbnail images, there's header images, there's stuff that you put on. Like it's I am so glad that we sought out a very specific partner to help us with this, and we didn't just go to Joe Schmo who could shoot a video. Like, so, you know, I think you nailed it on the head. Find those people who are experts in this. They can really coach you and help you avoid a lot of stuff that, you know, a lot of mistakes along the way. So, well, Cam, we appreciate you being on. I can't wait to watch you edit this for us and make it really cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I'm like, what is going on? I'm gonna be editing this.
So before we hop off here, Cam, you know, obviously you guys have even come a long way since you started working with us. So you know, where can folks find you and Jack? And yeah, you know, where can they learn a little bit more if they're interested in starting their own podcast?
Awesome. Well, appreciate that. So our new website is now live. It is called VisiScale.com, VISI scale.com. That's where you can find all information about us, what we can provide, all of our services. So that's where I would say to head.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure that we link that in the show comments. And by that, I mean, Cam,
I'll make sure I'll plug that into the show notes.
Feel free.
There we go. Well, thanks again, Cam, for hopping on. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode of the Next Gen Strategies podcast. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again for joining us today on the Next Gen Strategies podcast.
Be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you really enjoyed it, give us a share on any of your favorite social media channels.
And don't forget to leave us a review.